My name is Jenny, and I'm a wife and mom raising 2 kids. But I used to live a more glamorous life as a TV reporter. I was on the nightly news interviewing pop stars and politicians. So when I said goodbye to TV and hello to motherhood, I suddenly discovered what we moms are up against. We live in a world that tells us to be rich and famous, thin and successful. You know, almost nobody says, "Oh, hey, you're a mom? That is fabulous." But you are fabulous, and I'm here to tell you why.
It's the Channelmom Show, celebrating you with Jenny Dean Schmidt.
Attention moms. You know, we're all so concerned about how we look on the outside, but what about our insides? Now you can age-proof your body with Protandim. Just reach for what's been called the best anti-aging product out there, as seen on the Today Show. Sign up now as a preferred customer, and after receiving your 3rd bottle, get a $50 Visa gift card. Just click on the ad to the right of this video to get started. Of course, that is Stand By You by the Pretenders. I love that song. And I have a feeling that this next interview, which has a lot to do with standing by you, will help a lot of people out there. So stay tuned if you need help in your relationship. This woman was in an emotionally abusive marriage, and she felt like she was the only one with such a bad marriage. So she wanted to keep it a secret. But when she started talking about her marriage troubles, she did get help. It just took the talking to get there. So now, Sandy Ralya has written a book called The Beautiful Wife. Don't you love that title, Shel?
I do.
And now don't we all want to be beautiful wives?
We do.
The Beautiful Wife, and it's here to help other women and moms who have honest-to-God problems in their marriages. She knows there is not a one-size-fits-all formula, and so she is here to help all kinds of moms and marriages. Welcome to the show, Sandy.
Thank you, Jenny. It's great to be with you.
So, Sandy, why don't you tell us, you had your own troubled background in your marriage, just so people know that you're not the perfect person sort of preaching down from on high. Tell us about what happened for you.
Well, it didn't take long after I said I do to realize that I was married to a very angry and controlling man, and I didn't know what to do. I was completely unprepared for it. I tried to focus on myself and try to make him happy. That was my focus, and it was never enough. And I really struggled with how to handle it.
Tell me, just so people know the depth of what you were going through, and I know your husband has blessed you in telling people. In fact, you told me that at one event, women came up and sort of hugged him and thanked him for the fact that he's let you share this.
Yes.
What were the kinds of things he did?
Well, he was verbally abusive. He used cursing and to degrade me regularly. He would promise me gifts and then renege on them. He would use the Bible, words from the Bible, to try to control my behavior by telling me automatically that I was not a submissive wife instead of listening to any concerns that I might have. Things just got worse and worse, and I kept doing the same things over and over, and nothing ever improved until I made 3 critical decisions. The first thing that I decided to do was to turn to God. I realized that my own efforts to grow my marriage or to even be an agent of healing in my marriage were not enough.
Right.
What I was doing wasn't working. The second thing I did was stopped focusing on my husband and his behavior, and I started focusing on my role within my particular marriage. And the third thing that I did was I started opening up to godly mentors that were around me.
Right, mature women, yeah.
Yes, and these 3 things helped turn my life around.
Right, and you know, a couple things. First of all, it's that old adage, you cannot get into a marriage expecting to change somebody else. And I think so many women have that issue with, and we've all been guilty of it, where it's the guy that needs to change and you do absolutely nothing wrong.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we can try all day long to try to change him, but the fact is, it doesn't work.
Right.
And I often tell women that just bemoan the fact that their husbands are treating them terribly in some cases. They say, why should I focus on myself when he's obviously the one that, is doing terrible things and making bad choices?
Right.
And I always tell them, be the more mature, the one that, makes the first steps forward is definitely the most mature one, and hopefully that will motivate some of your listeners to look at themselves.
Right. What kind of hope can you offer a mom who is there or a dad who is in an equally troubled marriage?
Well, I want to encourage them to hang in there and make changes in their life before they give up on the marriage. As you and I both know, second marriages, the divorce rate in a second marriage is much higher than in a first. And
Right.
what you do when you don't deal with your own issues and you just choose to move on is you carry those issues with you into a second relationship. The hope I'm trying to offer is that a woman will focus on her own behavior and make individual changes that hopefully will not only impact her, which they will for sure, but hopefully will impact her marriage. It's like, I want to do all that I can do, not to change my husband, but all that I can do in my own life to hopefully impact my marriage. And the good news is that it did. I did finally ask my husband to leave. The abuse did not stop, even after the changes that I had made.
Yeah, it was not overnight. It was not overnight.
No, it took a long time. I mean, I kept doing the things that I needed to do, and it wasn't easy. I don't want women to think for a moment that it was easy.
I want to throw two things out there, and you can respond however you want. It is true. And I am not somebody who ever tries to sit in this seat and condemn people out there, because we all have problems, and not one of us is to judge the other for their problems. But
Right.
there is that statistic that says that 2/3 of all people who get divorced say in surveys that they wish they would have stayed with their first spouse.
Yes.
And so that is overwhelming, and I'd like to save people before they make that mistake. And I also want to say, I want to admit that this is sacrificial. And just about anything that we work for that matters in this life is hard work.
Amen. Yes, I would definitely say that. The end of my story is that after I asked my husband to leave, he actually sought godly counsel. And he went and lived with a couple that were able to pour good information into him, and Tom was at a point where he could receive that information. And all of the work that I had been doing in my own life and the good seeds, so to speak, that I had been sowing into his life prepared his heart for the words that these couples said, and it bore fruit immediately. And after about a month, after having asked him to leave, he asked me out on a date, and he began to court me and to woo me. And when he did come back home, he lined myself and our 3 children up on the couch and washed our feet. And he said, "I'm coming back into this home as a servant leader." And
Were you bawling? Were you just bawling? I would be crying.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I definitely was. It was a night and day change. And I don't want listeners to think that our life has been perfect ever since. It hasn't.
No.
All marriages experience trouble and trials. And we just have to know that marriage is hard work. And so you have to invest in your marriage if you hope to receive good from it.
We're going to come back with Sandy, and we're going to tell you about an
10.
tool that saved Sandy's marriage and how you can use that same technique. So stay with us.
I'll be